Okay, Sinadapi. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday. This is the Power Hour. Nistu Nidanico Makoyo Sakoi. Nistu Amskapi Pikani. Nistu Siksaketepi. I'm going to be your facilitator and just your badass auntie sharing with you for the next hour or so. We Native Wellness Institute. We come to you live every Wednesday. We began 3 years ago, 7 days a week during the pandemic. So, yoo-hoo! And then we went to 5 days a week. And so now we have Wellness Wednesday. A lot of today, I would just like to share with you some storytelling. It was just a beautiful Native Wellness Institute. We're currently doing adults working with youth, a training that we have on Zoom. Most of our training is in person and then some on Zoom. And so I just wanted to, so I want to share just that. I just left Shailene Joseph. I just left Tomas. Um, I just left them speaking to, I don't know, a couple hundred people, it seemed like, on all the squares around courtship and courtship as a way to ignite healthy relationships with into 2023, and also just healing us coming out of a 3 year pandemic. Like, yoo-hoo! Raise your hand if you've been in a pandemic. Raise your hand if things have transformed. Raise your hand if people are changing careers. Raise your hand if people are moving into tiny houses somewhere in the woods. Raise your hand if there's been a transformation of your family, of yourself, and of your community. And I say that because sometimes we need to remind ourselves that we've just come through a pandemic. And for wellness purposes, we have to remind ourselves that we have to take care of ourselves, that we have to pace ourselves, that we have to reground ourselves, and that we need to take care of the people around us. As we're moving into it's springtime here, and I'm looking at the lake, Lower St. Mary's Lake, with really uh, clear, crisp water coming from the glaciers. I'm looking at Savasberry blossoms. It looks like there's gonna be a lot of berries, and we didn't have, either due to climate change, we didn't have a lot of berries last year. But there's just white blossoms everywhere surrounding where I'm coming to you live from my home on Lower St. Mary's. But if you walk a mile this way and you walk a mile this way, and I just came from across the lake over there, there's white blossoms everywhere. So everybody, please go out and pick berries, because we need berries for ceremony. You need berries for your own health. We call them service berries or Sabbath berries. Lakota, Nakota, Dakota call them June berries, and Canadians call them Saskatoons. So then that visiting with you today, I'm talking about all of the things of springtime. So that Saskatoon, that Juneberry, or that Savasberry, the leaf of the berry, the green part, is a very important medicine, and I just wanted to share that at this moment. If you go out and you put out your tobacco and you harvest those leaves from the Savasberry or the Saskatoons or the Juneberries and dry them, and a lot of times the way that you can dry Indian medicine is, just like you can lay, in the old days they used to lay them out on hides. Now you get, like, the bottom of cardboard boxes. You can put paper towel on it, and you put your berries, are the leaves, and you put them there and you shake them. Sometimes shake them, let them dry, let them be in the sun, let them be out. But once the leaves of the berries are dry, you can crumble them and you can make them into a tea. The leaves of Savisberries is part of it's part of a healing of type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is for native people, just a FYI. Our first case of diabetes in the United States was in 1936 with Native Americans. Before that, we had no diabetes ever existed in any tribe in the United States. So it's something that we can reverse. And so with the leaves, there's two parts to it. And I guess we're going to start with sharing medicine today. Is the first part is, and it grows in this area, it grows in Alaska, and you need to find out where it grows, is Devil's Club. And Devil's Club is a plant that I've seen it 12 feet tall, 14 feet tall in some parts of Alaska. I've seen it here. Between here and Kalispell, there's big patches. Sometimes it's in real moist areas, but this Devil's Club, and if you, so it's better if you go get the medicine where it grows. And when you go out to get the medicine, it grows in long stalks. And when you go, say your prayer, take your tobacco, go out and put the tobacco at the bottom of the plant, and specifically ask the Devil's Club to help regulate your inner's body to produce insulin. And that's what it does. It jumpstarts your body's ability without having to administer insulin. So when you're picking, and let's just talk a little bit about that plant. Go out and say the sincere prayer with your tobacco and develop a relationship with that Devil's Club. And they call it Devil's Club because there's a lot of thorns on it, and they're as sharp as a razor. If you need to have thick leather gloves when you're harvesting, because the razor blades will slice your fingers. And so when you're going out and you have the stalk, you take about, and I have learned this from Wilbur Fish. You should always say who you learned it from. And I guess some of the knowledge I'm sharing today is not a Google knowledge. Google's good, but this is like Indian knowledge. Badass Indian anti-knowledge. So you cut it in about 12-inch increments, and it's okay if it's 30, it's not, it doesn't have to be exact. So you lopplear it, and you strip the thorns. You have your leather gloves on, you strip the thorns, and then you take a sharp knife and you've got the stalk, and you slice down around the inner part you're going to leave. It's like the stalk, and the outer part is where a lot of the medicine is that will help with type 2 diabetes. And so you take that part off and unravel it. After you've sliced it, you uncover it, and you dry it. Again, you dry it in the sun. You can dry it on tarp, you can dry it on hides, you can dry it on cardboard. If you put paper towel and once it's dry, then you crumble it up. You can slice it up. Sometimes I see a lot of Indian people they slice off that bark of the stalk of the Devil's Club. They crumble it, and you make it into a tea. Wilbur Fish explained to us that if you're going to use this medicine for type 2 diabetes for healing, that you gotta experiment with it. So even when he teaches us, when you have a medicine plant person, and he said he needed to tell us this because he said we're in a type 2 diabetes epidemic. He said we have too many people losing their eyesight, too many people losing limbs, too many people losing fingers, too many people losing toes, etc. And so that was why he instructed myself and my sister Lori Newbreast. We were with him on a field trip with our diabetes program. He wanted us to come because we were just teaching the diabetes program on how to gather the medicine. And so the formula goes like this, is that for 3 weeks, just try to, sleep good, not be too stressed, just take care of your well-being. But in the morning, you take a handful of that dried devil's club and you make a gallon of tea. A handful makes a gallon. You take a handful of those dried leaves from Juneberry, you take a handful and it makes a gallon. So for 3 weeks, as hot as you can drink it. A lot of times, when you're using medicine in tea form, you try to, it ignites itself if you use the hottest water you can get and to making the tea and to drink it, because it as it goes into you, it's a spiritual remedy. As it goes into you, you drink 2 cups of that hot tea of the Devil's Club first thing in the morning, and then have, your coffee and have other things. But sit there and drink it as hot as you can. And then in the evening, as you're kind of winding down for the day, from that gallon of the leaves of the Savisberry, the Juneberry, the Saskatoon, that you've grabbed a handful and you made a gallon, you have 1 cup. So it's 2 cups of Devil's Club in the morning and 1 cup of the Saskatoon or Juneberry or Savisberry leaves. And you monitor yourself. You can monitor yourself with how you feel. You can monitor yourself with your energy. You can monitor yourself with taking your blood sugar level. You can monitor yourself with taking your blood pressure. Any of how you feel, because type 2 diabetes is a can be, it's spiritual disharmony. I'll repeat that. Type 2 diabetes is spiritual disharmony with your body. And these are 2 medicines that can jumpstart your system to creating the amount of insulin that you will need in order to process the food and the breakdown of the food that you ingest. And it's also a good idea just to, for Native Americans, like in our area right now, we have a lot of protein. Our ancestors, it's best to eat like your ancestors. Our teammate Thosh and Chelsea, they say ancestral food. You hear it over and over now. It's best to. So whoever are your ancestors, if your ancestors come from Europe, you need to find out what was their intake, what was their spiritual food. I know it's kind of it's like here, in Blackfoot, they say real food is meat. And in our language, and the rest of the food is not real food. So whenever you're around, so eating, wild elk meat, deer meat, fish that comes out of the lake, buffalo meat. We're right now, our tribe. Hey, and you guys are invited. This is the good thing that's going on. June 1st, June 2nd, and June 3rd. And it's just a little ways out of Browning. We're having the teaching of the buffalo. We will be serving buffalo or harvesting buffalo, and we're bringing in elders with storytelling. We're bringing in, there was a treaty signed in 2015 at that time with 25 tribes that had a herd of buffalo. It is now increased to the intertribal buffalo society, which I think is, last year they said 75 tribes have a herd of buffalo. And hopefully they'll all be coming. But one of the things that I see for us to impact type 2 diabetes is we're making the meat affordable. At our tribal store, you can get a pound of buffalo stew meat for $7.99. At our tribal store, you can get a pound of buffalo hamburger for $7.99. So we're making it affordable. We also have just recently, in the past 2 years, you can buy our ini, is how we say buffalo in our language. You can buy the beef jerky. You can buy it at East Glacier. You can buy it at the tribal store. It's available, and so you can eat buffalo meat. You don't have to eat that other stuff. Anyway, so I guess today's Power Hour, when I wanted to share some stories with you around our environment. I Earlier today, we have a lot of Craig Falcon, who's in the Ixcanax. He's a Ganaxtimada, Leon Rattler, Carol Murray, John Murray, and the Blackfeet tribe is putting together a film about Badger to Medicine. And this film is being, I guess when I leave here, I'm going to be interviewed as an elder of some of the stories that I know about Badger to Medicine. Badger, in our 1.5 million acres here, if you go between south of Highway 2, East Glacier, and you go towards Hart Butte, um, the the rain in there is called Badger because there's a big Badger river that comes from the glaciers, is called Badger to Medicine. And recently, oh gosh, in the past 40 years, um, the government or outside people have tried to drill oil there in that sacred territory. And boom, we've stopped it. They keep coming again. They want us to be like North Dakota. They want to come in and rape the land. And so it has been stopped. It has been stopped. And currently, right now, it has been stopped. But we have a lot of outside. So say prayers for us. Say prayers that Badger to Medicine remains in its natural state. And so one of the stories, when I leave the Power Hour here, I'm being interviewed by the ancient tree that looks like a redwood. Is called the leaning tree over on Lowers, on Duck Lake there, eh? And that leaning tree is, I was told by William Big Bull, is like an ancient tree. Those trees existed in all of this environment right here prior to, there's the stories of when there was a great flood, and our people survived because they went on top and they stayed on top of Chief Mountain in Nastico. And that was why they didn't perish in that great flood. But before that great flood, there was these type of trees. And so you're also, I guess I'm inviting you too, because it's Blackfeet owned, and it's a young couple and her parents. I mean, Paula Fitzgerald is cooking over there. We now have, it's like the Bab area. It's all traditional old time food. And so you're welcome to come there. And so I will be filming over there when we leave this Power Hour. So, today, Wellness Wednesday. What an incredible, time we're in. And so I wanted to go over just some storytelling and some concepts of balance, some concepts of harmony, some concepts of serenity, some concepts of friendship, some concepts of feel good. What makes us feel good? And I guess my first story is, and we started off talking about Eni and talking about buffalo, is that on our reservation here, we've had lotteries to hunt buffalo on our reservation here, as well as the other 7 reservations, from Fort Peck to Fort Belknap to Rocky Boy to Salish Kootenai to Northern Cheyenne to Crow. We have been able to go harvest the overflow of buffalo from Yellowstone Park. So there's been an abundance of buffalo meat available. And so one of the stories of wellness that I wanted to share with you is, one of we have had Heart Butte graduation, we have had Browning High School graduation, Blackfeet Community College graduation, eighth grade. And I also think, and tomorrow we're having Head Start graduation. So there's been all of this celebratory. I mean, like, yay! Everybody's graduating. Everybody's coming together and honoring and singing at the Browning High School. We had a lot of our esteemed, revered singers sing White Dog Victory Song for all of the 126 graduates from Browning High School. So I wanted to begin with, since I'm staring out at the water, is to talk about water and how we use water in our wellness. Native Wellness Institute, we started going to visit indigenous people in New Zealand, and then they started to come visit us. And this water concept in 2004 in Aotearoa in New Zealand, we were invited to speak with the elders with the canes, and in that exchange, that cultural exchange, and I've shared with you in the past, for me, it was profound cross-cultural learning, because I had never been to New Zealand, and I didn't want to come as an American. I wanted to come as a Blackfoot person. And so I kept asking about protocols. What are the protocols? How do I need to treat these elders with reverence, with respect? And at first they were saying, no, just, come and tell us how you handle your health issues in America. But I kept asking, no, come on, tell me a little bit more. And it gets to the water, this story is, and they kept saying, just come as you are and share how your people stay balanced, mind, body, and spirit. And I finally, it got down to the end. I said, no, come on, just give me a hint. I want to appear before them. So this is what they said. When I appeared before all of the esteemed leadership and elders of New Zealand, they said, when you come to talk to us, please dress like your ancestors, not your oppressors. And boom, that was like, okay. So from that moment, so I got ready, and, I guess, this is my ancestors always had a couple of braids. Sometimes there's 3 braids with a young boy until he grows up, and then there's 2 braids. I wore my elk tooth dress, because elk teeth to us are like the diamonds of the Blackfoot, eh? And I wore my beaded moccasins. I brought my eagle feather fan, and that was how I appeared before the elders there. And after a week long of cultural exchange, this is what they said about the water. And this is, I guess, a wellness teaching. Is they said that first they asked, how are you taking care of the water? Like, how do you take care of the water? So one of the ways that you could take care of the water, and this comes, I remember Patty McGeesick, who is passed from Fort Peck. One of the teachings was to take a ball of sage. My sage is way over there, so I'm not going to go get it. sage is, there's 33 different kinds of Gaksami sage. So, have mountain sage, you have female sage, you have male sage. But take dried sage and roll it into a ball. And when you roll that ball of sage, you can say a prayer, and Patty always says, to the water people at the fourth level. There's levels of the water. And say prayers for them, because she said the water people told her that they were getting polluted, that they were dying. And so that sage, you can take care of the water by putting that ball of sage into the water. And that was exactly the same thing that the cane elders, and these, you can tell they have like a cane, almost like our Pueblo people do. They had a cane, and they said the water knows how to correct itself. Now get this, I mean, this is like the beauty of, they said the water knows how to take care of the water. So what we could do as human beings is to take some of the water. And so I did take some of the water in New Zealand and brought it back in a bottle and put it into our holy water. And then the next trip, I went and took, some of the glacier water that was flowing down. I took some of that water. And one time I even took snow because we were traveling over there. So I stuffed snow in a plastic bottle and took it over to New Zealand and put it in their water. And they said that was how we can take, if the water talks to the water, if the water speaks to other water, the water will correct itself and the water will become healthier. So dang! What about that? Let the water talk to the water. So that, talking about our environment, our environment and how, so let's let's go on this serenity and this healing with water. Talk to the water. We had a gathering of Native Americans in San Francisco. They have a youth gathering. I think it's over 20 years now. Crystal Salas, Aurora Mamea, all of they still have this gathering, but I think that was like 2016. We had a Gona over there, and we had 8 teams of youth, and we had adults, and one of their activities for wellness was to go as a team and go and sit and talk to the water, and then come back and tell the larger group what the water had said to them. And it was so beautiful. And some took tobacco, but here's all these young people, and when they came back, and it touches my heart, when they came back, the water said things to them. The water said, thank you. And some of them went down and they sang. The water said, we like it when you come down and you sing songs to us. We like it when you come down and you actually talk to us. And so here's these kids, and I guess it's making me cry, because when these kids came back, when they were talking to the water, when they put their tobacco out, the water talked back and said these things to these young people. And so then the next day, based on that, we went and had a water walk. And so we brought buckets in our whole, I don't know, there was over 100 of us. We brought buckets and we went down and we scooped up some of the water out of the ocean there. And we walked down the beach, and songs were sang, songs of gratitude, songs of honoring, songs of thankfulness were sung to the water. And with all of these young people, this talking to the water, we were going along, 100, and you see 100 Indians. I mean, 100 Indians kind of walking anywhere, notice. They get scared if it's 2 or more Indians. But anyway, 100 Indians walking along the beach. And one of the kids go, whale. So there was like a little whale, and then there was some sea lions that came. There was some dolphins. I mean, it's all of a sudden because we went down and talked to the water. The water beings came and were acknowledging us as we were walking down the beach. Whew! What a experience for all of us to see the water beings like the dolphins come in, and they were kind of coming along. They were staying in the water, but we were on the beach and walking together. So that's another healing with water. The other thing with healing with water, and I guess it's just fresh on my heart, fresh here, is I would like to talk about another healing that I learned from Anishinaabeg people up around Ontario, are known as, Chippewa people. Anishinaabeg people have always, one of the ways that, when you cry tears, they have different composition. That crying for the water kind of like stung stung. So they said the way to heal with water, and I know we've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again, is that if you don't have a way to do it, is to to climb into the sweat lodge. That is the way that we cleansed ourselves. That's the way we renewed ourselves. That's the way we started over. But if you don't have access to that, you can, with your own self, just boil a gallon of water and put sage in it, and then let it cool. And you can put your bathing suit on, or if you're in a place where you can be naked, you'll stand on the black dirt or the grass, and you say your prayers, and you ask the water to clean you off, to clean your thoughts, so that you have good thoughts, that you have good intentions. You ask the water to clean off your ears, so that you only hear the good things. You're listening for the good things, not the negativity or the toxic gossip. You ask it to clear your nose, so that you only smell the good smells. You ask it to give you the good words, so that only good words come out of your mouth, that only good things go out to people, that your words are gentle to people's hearts, so when they hear your words, it goes right to their heart, and it makes them feel good. You ask the water to clean off your shoulders, especially for right here. If you're working in the healing helping field, we carry that right here. So we ask the water to let it go, to clean us off. And and like when you're relieved, you go, you get rid of all that. You ask the water to, clean off if there's an owie part on different parts of you. You ask that water to clean your part of feeling, your emotional intelligence center right here, your gut. You ask the water to cleanse you, to cleanse your female parts and your male parts, to wash you off. You get like a cleansing, especially, if you have had an unhealthy experience or an unhealthy sexual experience, you need to clean off. You need to clean off with that. You ask the water to go down your legs, and if there's something that aches, to clean. You ask the water to clean off your spinal cord. You ask the water to clean off down to your foot. And as the water, okay, with that water, that gallon of water that you've put sage in, as it goes over you and it goes into the earth, the sakum, into the earth, you're cleaned off. You are cleaned off. And so that's another way that water can heal with us, is to allow it to go down your body. Another way in which water can also heal us is, and I don't want to go and grab something, but I'm drinking I'll use this zero no sugar Powerade. If this was a glass of water, before you go to bed at night, on your nightstand or close to your bed, take a glass of water, smudge it, and ask the water to take out anything from you, um, any bad bacteria, any bad thoughts, or if you've been around where you just hear trauma or feel trauma, to anything that you want a clean heart, you want a clean slate, and you smudge that water and you set it by your nightstand. And then in the morning, if you do this repeatedly, clean off, you'll begin to see sometimes there might even be like a bubbling in that water. There might be, and whatever's in that water, it you've asked the water to take it from you, to clean you. So then you take the glass of water and you go outside. You go outside and you pour it into the ground. Again, it's you let the earth take it. You let the earth clean you off. And so, wow, I guess Wellness Wednesday. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute. We come to you every Wednesday for an hour just to talk about something that's positive, productive, and proactive in your family's life, in your life. And so I think I wanted to share with you a couple of stories around healing. and and I say a couple of stories, and a couple of forgiveness stories. There's a man that's an incredible man. His name is Tom Tailfeathers, and so I heard this from him, is that we used peppermint forgiveness in our ways to help us forgive, and to forgive between two individuals and between two families. And then it leads to, how do we use, because I was just thinking, you can raise your hand if you love peppermint tea. I hear elders, they always say, go pick your fresh peppermint, because it's starting to come up. You can smell it. Like when you're walking near the rivers or the moist, you can smell the peppermint. But Tom Tailfeathers, he said, in the old days, we didn't carry grudges for long because it was not healthy for the community. We didn't carry resentments long because it was not healthy for families in the community. And he said, so there was the peppermint forgiveness ceremony. And that peppermint forgiveness ceremony was just when, if there had been friction between two families, friction between two individuals, and maybe even if you made a decision to divorce or break up, or there was this going on, is that it was initiated. It could be both parties, but one party went and made a strong peppermint tea, a natural, grown from the ground. But if you're not in a place where you can get that, you can get it. You guys know how to get peppermint. You can go get it. Make a prayer. Put out your tobacco. So he said that if someone was coming to your home and they had hot peppermint tea and they came into your home, you were supposed to put out 2 cups. And when the peppermint, and there can be discussion, it can be, each your perception of why you're not getting along or why things aren't good. But once you poured that peppermint tea into the cup of this individual or this family member who represents, and you poured the peppermint tea into the cup of that individual, and you both drank it, all was forgiven. It was a commitment and a vow to start new with each other. It was a commitment and a vow to start over, to rebirth, to reconcile. And so from that moment, whatever was the dispute fades away and disappears. I have to say that one of this this peppermint healing ceremony. I seen it witnessed, and I hope Rose or Reggie Crowshoe, hey, if you're on here, they said they like to watch the Power Hour, but we were in Calgary. That's how Americans say it, not Calgary, like the Canadians say it. But we were up there for it was Blackfoot Women's Empowerment. You see my shirt. We meet every year, but we had met up there, and one of the days was to heal for missing and murdered girls and women, and we had a forgiveness ceremony. And I just remember Reggie and Rose and others. There was a lot of helpers. They brought in hot peppermint tea, and we hot as we could, because sometimes tea's medicine. It should be hot as possible. That's why when you serve Canadians tea, you should have one of those plug-in heat up the water till it's boiling. And everybody was given a cup, and prayers were said and songs were sang, and we were having forgiveness so that there could be healing for those still missing, for those that were murdered. And I tell you, it was so it was almost like the energy of those hundreds of Blackfoot and other. We had invited other. Sutina had come. There was other Cree people there. There was other tribes from Canada, and that peppermint forgiveness ceremony was so that our heart could forgive and not be so hardened, not be so wounded. And so that was another way, in which water was used, in which peppermint was used. So I'm going to talk about a couple other things, and because there's just all this medicine around. I swear, walking along the lake, and I guess you guys are all invited. You should come to the Eni Days, June 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd. Will be here, but there's also, you should come for Native American Indian Days here. We welcome everybody. It's the weekend of July 7, 8, 9. I know our family is on July 7th. We're having a red dress special. It's a memorial for Craig Falcon's mother that he lost. But it's their family doesn't like to have a lot of like giveaways, so they're just going to have a red dress dance special, and then there'll be prizes of money and things given to the winner. And then shortly after that, we have so many memorials, and that's how we're healing. We now get to have the memorials. We're having a Wallace night gun and Clara night gun chicken dance. So right after that's done, rather than have a giveaway, we're just having the best chicken dancers in the whole goddamn world are coming to Indian Days, July 7th, and they're going to have a dance off. So you're welcome to that. So I don't know. Why am I so excited? I think I'm excited because it's springtime. I think it's excited because one of the mental health things that you can do is you have to set up times what you're looking forward to. Looking forward to these graduations. We have one more graduation, Cut Bank graduation, that's happening on Sunday, the May 28th. We have this weekend. We have people who are fasting. Nolan Yellow Kidney is having his Sundance, and those that pledge to Sundance, they'll be fasting for 4 days. I think the sweats start on Thursday. And I'm just telling you these things because you're invited. You're invited to ceremony. Your ceremonies where you're at, you're invited to these ceremonies. And that's how we bring back wellness. That's how we bring back forgiveness. That's how we prepare ourselves spiritually to be kinder. That's how we bring, we just experienced a lot of our elders. Gosh, man, just a couple of days ago, we had not seen each other. I mean, the elders that were on walkers, the elders that were on wheelchairs, the elders that were walking with a cane, they all came together for 126 graduates on our reservation. And it was so beautiful. It was like we could see them come in the door. And of course, my 84-year-old mother, we sat her right at where they come in the door. So they got to hug. They got to embrace each other, and they hadn't seen each other in so long. They got to love each other up with that hugging therapy, and it was just so good. And seeing each other, and take a picture. Take a picture when your elders get together, because they're precious. Indigenous knowledge of our elders is so darn precious. Spend time. So maybe I would say, do the fun things. Go and just sit, bring some meat. Bring some meat to your elder. Bring some peppermint tea to your elder and visit with them. Sit down with them. Go, into their home, or go call them up and say, "Where can I take you to dinner?" Pretty soon you can take them to Cattle Baron, and you can have buffalo marinated ribeye. You can take them up to Johnson's. They just had huckleberry buffalo roast. And every Monday they're going to have buffalo meatloaf. I guess a buffalo is just like on my mind. And take them to the casino. Take them to Peaks in East Glacier, or wherever you're living. Call them up and say, "Hey, let's have a visit. Can I take you out to dinner? My treat. Can I take you to lunch? My treat." And then just go and visit with your elder. Tell them what you've been doing. Ask them questions. Listen to them. I think that's mental health. That's healing. Taking your elder out. Native Wellness Institute, we come to you every Wednesday with Wellness Wednesday. We're open to, if you want more suggestions around topics. We'll have Uncle Gene Tagabon comes on sometimes. Atstanikiwa, Lori comes on sometimes. And I have made a commitment just to come on here every Wednesday for an hour and visit with you and talk about talk about what's going on. So I think one of the things that I'll end with is another story of healing, and it has to do with reconciliation between men and women, or between any relationship. It could be LGBTQ, two-spirit, transgender. And so the story I want to share is, coming up in August 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, the 27th annual Two Spirit Gathering is happening on Flathead Lake, which is about 4 hours from here. You can sign up. It's the two called the 27th annual Two Spirit Gathering in Montana. Where there is scholarships being given, because I don't know what the registration is, like $300. But what it does is it helps. What we have learned at that gathering is that we hire, and man, they're Blackfeet cooks. So we hire people to prepare the food, because you can't heal if you're preparing the food and trying to attend. That doesn't work. It's good if you hire Indian people to prepare the food, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so the story I want to share with you is, I went last year as a presenter, and it was one of the most beautiful things that helped me personally, helped me professionally, and helped me allyship that is going to that gathering. And the first evening was a smudge time. They put up a lodge, a teepee, Raven, Heavy Runner, Steve Barrios. There's a whole team. They've been meeting for 26 years. They had a ceremony, and we all just sat in a giant circle and prayed together. And it was interesting because we had such a large gathering, but about a third of that gathering were from Canada. And during the pandemic, they had learned online that the two-spirit, LGBTQ, and transgender come together every year. And so they had come down from Nova Scotia, they'd come down from Ontario, they came down from British Columbia, and it was beautiful because there was all first of all these Canadians, eh? and sitting in the circle, and then about a third were young people. And I don't know how else to describe it. They were young people that were identified as, gender fluid, non-binary. Um, because of their identification, their family had brought them there to heal. So and then in the middle, there's just these old G's. Just the old G's that have been coming for 26 years. But it was such a beautiful gathering. And I guess I'm sharing it with you because I think after this pandemic of these woundedness and of this trauma that we just been through, we're at a time where we should try new ways of healing and allyship. I think, we've had the dialogue with Native Wellness Institute is just to go to the gathering as an ally. If you don't identify as two-spirit and you're into healing and you're into wellness, come as an ally, because we got to build the relationships, the allyship. And that's how you stop the suicides. That's how you stop the anxiety. That's how you stop all of those other health disparities, is when you do the healing around LGBTQ two-spirit. But I guess I have to share because it's healing. There's a woman that comes from Pine Ridge named Muffy, and her wife is named Felipa. And I think they're having a two-spirit powwow at Rapid City, June 2nd and 3rd, also, that everyone is invited to. So if you can't come to the Buffalo thing, you can go to Rapid City. But Muffy was and I had been invited, and like I'm an old G, like they said, it's a camp out. So I called up Steve Barrios and I said, Steve, okay, I got my truck, I got my sleeping bag. Can you kind of describe, do I need to bring my portable toilet or my outhouse? So anyway, I called him up and he goes, no, we have a special cabin for the elders, and there's a flush toilet. And I was just going, woohoo, a flush toilet camping? Anyway, when we got there, I got to be with Muffy and Felipa, and it was just so awesome. I'm talking about the Two-Spirit Gathering in Montana. And so we had been together. We eat together, and then we have speakers. We had a man from Peru who was our speaker, Sergio. We had just so much beautiful, and then my talk was around rites of passage. Like, what are the rites of passage of a two-spirit person? Besides getting your Indian name, what are the rites of passage that in order to heal as a two-spirit person, we got to look at the rites of passage. Even the coming out, even coming out as a two-spirit person. We have talent night. It's one night where, there are drag queens. Yeah, we have Lulu contests, warrior yelling. There was two-spirit powwow, so we had that. There was just all kinds of opportunities to heal. There was, so I guess I'm inviting you, but the Muffy story that I kind of wanted to end with, and maybe one of the things of respect that we learned there is when you have a gut feeling that maybe someone has a different identity than just male or female. A very respectful question that you can ask of that person is, hey, what are your pronouns? Hey, what are your pronouns? And let them tell you who you are, who they are. And so at the end, and this is just, I guess, the badass anti-humor is, towards the end of the gathering, Muffy, I was getting ready to go because I needed to return home. My mom was going through some health appointments, and so when I was leaving, Muffy turns to me and she goes, "Hey, Theta, are you two spirit?" And I go, "Wow!" And I knew Muffy. We had known each other because she was a police officer on the Pine Ridge Reservation, and she guarded Cecilia Fire Thunder when she was president of the Pine Ridge Reservation. And I knew Muffy because she always searched for the missing women, and was on it. So we'd kind of known each other and shared space, and then I got to know her wife, Felipa. And so when she asked me that question, I go, "Geez, Muffy, no one's ever asked me that. I think I'm 5 or 6." And that was just from the gut. I think I'm 5 or 6. I think that as a raised and where women are sacred, raised by grandparents and parents, that we learn to do many roles. We do things like a man, we do things like a woman, and there's some in between. And so when Muffy asked, so I just say that, share that with you, because who are you? Are you your authentic self? Have you been able, going through this traumatic experience of this pandemic? Who are you? And one of the things that Native Wellness is inviting you is to become your authentic self, whatever your authentic self is. And so, I guess I'm winding down in the last minute here is in asking you, who are you? Be able to tell your true, authentic self and come into the Indian world, because you know what? We're going to hug you and we're going to embrace you, because we just want you to be yourself, and we don't want you to be wearing masks. We don't want you to be faking. We want you just to be yourself, and we can all heal together. So with that, I guess I'm going to say Kitaki Tomatsuno. That means I'll see you later. Native Wellness Institute. We're on every Wednesday, noon Pacific time, 1 o'clock here in Mountain Time. And for some reason, I love all of you today. Kitsikako Mem, and we'll see you next Wednesday.